Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Conversation Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Daniel. It is fantastic to have you joining us again today.
Okay, Daniel, I want you to picture a scene. Imagine this. Your alarm clock doesn't go off on a Monday morning. You leap out of bed in a panic, rush to get ready, spill hot coffee all down your only clean white shirt, miss your train by exactly 30 seconds, and finally arrive late to work only to find your boss waiting with a grumpy look on their face.
Oh, stop. Just listening to that is stressing me out. My heart rate is already going up.
Right? We have all had days like that. It is a universal human experience.
It absolutely is. But here is the big question for our listeners. When a day like that happens to you, do you have the English vocabulary to actually express that frustration?
That is exactly what we're tackling today. We often focus on happy English, how to say, I'm fine, thank you, and talk about our hobbies. But life isn't always sunny.
It really isn't. And true connection with other people happens when you can share the tough stuff, too. If you can explain why you're stressed or why you're late, people understand you better. You feel less alone.
Exactly. So today's episode is all about venting. It's about giving you the tools to discuss your daily struggles, minor frustrations, and bigger challenges with total confidence.
We're going to share some personal stories of our own recent disasters, give you the essential phrases for everything from a broken printer to feeling completely overwhelmed at work, and share some fantastic idioms that native speakers use when things go wrong.
By the end of this 25 minutes, you won't just be able to say, I had a bad day. You'll be able to explain exactly why and feel confident doing it.
So, buckle up. Let's get ready to complain. Constructively, of course. But first, before we teach you the vocabulary, let's just have a chat about our own week. Sarah, how are things going with you? Any challenges lately?
Well, Daniel, if you're asking for honesty, it has been a bit of a week, actually.
Oh no, I know that tone of voice. What's happened?
It's nothing major, just technology. You know how it is. It's wonderful when it works, and it ruins your life when it doesn't.
Absolutely. Tech issues are the modern curse. Go on, share your pain.
Okay, so yesterday, I was completely swamped. I had 3 different deadlines looming for the end of the day, and I was already feeling the pressure. I really just needed to put my head down and focus for a few solid hours.
Yeah, I know that feeling very well. You just need to get into the zone.
Exactly. So I made myself a giant coffee, sat at my desk, opened my laptop to finally get started on the biggest report, and guess what happened?
The battery died?
Worse, the screen just went completely blue.
Oh no, not the blue screen of death.
No, thankfully not quite death, but close. Big white letters appeared saying, "Do not turn off your computer. Mandatory system update in progress. 1% complete."
No way. The dreaded mandatory update at that exact moment?
Yes! The timing literally could not have been worse. I just stared at the screen in total disbelief. I was clicking the mouse frantically, trying to cancel it, but nothing worked.
Oh, that is agonizing. It's the lack of control, isn't it?
It is! And Daniel, it took 45 minutes. 45 minutes. I couldn't do anything except sit there and watch that little percentage number go up painfully slowly. 10%, 12%.
That is torture. When you're already stressed about time, losing nearly an hour like that feels like the end of the world in the moment.
It really does. By the time it finally finished and I could log back in, my email inbox had exploded again with more urgent requests. It felt like it was just one thing after another yesterday. I was ready to throw the laptop out of the window.
I think we need a collective deep breath after reliving that. I feel stressed just listening to it.
Thanks for letting me vent. But anyway, that was my Wednesday drama. You mentioned in the intro that just thinking about commuting was stressing you out. Has it been a bad week on the trains for you?
Honestly, Sarah, yes. Tuesday morning was a total nightmare.
Oh dear, the standard delays?
I wish it was standard. No, this was worse. I was heading into the city for that really important client presentation I told you about. I did everything right. I left the house extra early, gave myself plenty of spare time. I was feeling calm.
Okay, so far so good. You were prepared.
Right, but then we went into that long tunnel just outside the city center. The train slowed down, crawled for a bit, and then just stopped completely with a loud clunk.
Ugh, the dreaded tunnel stop. I hate being stopped underground.
Exactly. And we just sat there. 5 minutes went by, then 10 minutes. Absolute silence. No announcement from the driver, nothing. The air conditioning turned off. It was completely silent in the carriage, except for everyone nervously checking their phones and sighing loudly.
That is the most frustrating thing. It's not even the delay itself that is the worst part. It's the lack of information, not knowing why it's happening or how long it will last.
Precisely. It was totally out of my hands. I felt completely powerless. I was stuck there, underground, with zero phone signal, so I couldn't even email the client to say I was running late. I was just watching the minutes tick away, knowing my buffer time was gone, and I was going to be late for this crucial meeting. I was absolutely seething inside.
Seething. That is such a great word for that deep, quiet, bubbling anger you feel in that situation. So, did you make the meeting?
Barely. The train finally jerked back to life after about 25 minutes. I practically ran the last 4 blocks from the station and arrived sweating, stressed, and out of breath. It was not the best professional start to the day. It really threw off my whole morning.
I can imagine. It takes hours to calm your nervous system down after a start like that.
It really does. You know, when we talk about these things later, a slow computer update, a delayed train, they seem quite small in the grand scheme of things. They aren't life-changing tragedies.
No, they aren't. But in the moment, when you are just trying to get through a busy day, they are incredibly disruptive and stressful.
Exactly. And that is why we need the right language to talk about them, to let that steam out. We used a lot of natural vocabulary just then in our chat. Words like swamped, stuck, a nightmare, seething.
So let's break this down for our listeners. Let's move on to the core content and look at the specific vocabulary for these little annoyances first.
That's a great idea, because there is a distinct difference between a major life crisis and just having a bad Tuesday, isn't there? We need language for those specific things that aren't necessarily disasters, but just make you roll your eyes and groan.
Exactly. We aren't talking about tragic events here. We are talking about spilled coffee, slow internet, or forgetting your umbrella. And Daniel, the absolute best phrase to summarize this feeling, the phrase I used to myself when my computer started that update, is a classic.
Which one is that?
It is simply, it's just one of those days.
Oh, that is the ultimate phrase for daily frustration. It's so useful because you don't even need to explain exactly what happened.
Right. You just walk in, drop your bag, sigh heavily, and say, Daniel, it's been one of those days. And immediately you understand that everything has gone slightly wrong since I woke up.
Yeah, you know the pattern. You spill the toothpaste down your shirt, then you can't find your keys, then it starts raining the second you step outside without a coat. It's not a tragedy, it's just one of those days. It communicates a cumulative buildup of small problems.
Exactly. Now, to describe the specific events themselves, we need the right adjectives. Language learners often default to very strong or incorrect words here. They might say, "My computer update made me very angry," or even, "It is sad."
But your computer updating isn't sad, is it? You weren't crying over it.
No, I was annoyed or I was irritated. Those are the key adjectives here. My commute today was so annoying, or it is really irritating when the internet cuts out during a call.
Those are perfect, annoying, and irritating. Now, Sarah, there's another noun that native speakers use constantly. It's for things that aren't necessarily infuriating, but they just take up too much time and effort. We call it a hassle.
Oh, I love that word. Hassle. Hassle. It even sounds like what it means. It's just complicated, boring stuff that you don't want to do.
Exactly. Like calling your internet provider because your bill is wrong and being kept on hold for 30 minutes listening to terrible hold music. It isn't a disaster, but it is a massive hassle.
Or queuing at the post office on your lunch break when you only have 20 minutes and the person in front of you has 50 parcels to send. Total hassle.
Total hassle. Now, if you want to dial up the drama just a little bit, perhaps for something slightly worse than a hassle, especially involving technology or bureaucracy, you can use a phrase you used in the warm-up, Sarah.
Which one? Oh, the nightmare one?
Yes, you can say, I'm having a bit of a nightmare with something.
Now, we have to be careful here. A real nightmare is a scary dream you have when you are sleeping. But in daily conversation, a bit of a nightmare just means a complicated, frustrating situation that is hard to solve.
Right. We often use it when something technical just won't do what it is supposed to do. You'll hear people say, I'm having a bit of a nightmare with my printer today. It just won't connect to the Wi-Fi.
Or forms. I'm trying to renew my passport online, and honestly, I'm having a bit of a nightmare with the website. It keeps crashing on the final page.
Ugh, I feel that pain. Okay, let's lock these phrases in with a super quick practice scenario to see how they flow together.
Good idea.
Okay, Sarah, imagine you have just arrived at the studio for this recording. You look a bit stressed and rushed. I'll start. Hey, Sarah, you made it. You look a bit flustered. Are you okay?
Oh, hi, Daniel. Sorry I'm rushing. Honestly, it's just been one of those mornings.
Oh, no. Why? What happened?
Well, I tried to print the script at home before leaving, but I was having a total nightmare with my printer. It just wouldn't work no matter what I did. It was so irritating.
That is annoying. Printer problems are the worst.
I know. So I had to run to the shop on the corner to print it there, but there was a huge queue because their machine was slow. It was just such a hassle when I was already running late.
Oh, that sounds unbelievably frustrating. Well, sit down, take a breath. At least you're here now.
See, it actually feels good just to say it out loud using the right words.
It does. It's therapeutic. Okay, so those are the little annoyances. Printer problems, long queues, slow updates. But Sarah, sometimes life throws bigger things at us than just a hassle.
Yeah, sometimes it's not just annoying. Sometimes you feel completely buried by pressure, especially in our professional lives.
Exactly. The feeling changes from irritation to stress. So let's move on and look at the vocabulary for when things get serious, when we feel overwhelmed.
This is where the vocabulary needs to get a little stronger. You cannot tell your boss that a major project deadline is a bit annoying. That sounds unprofessional and, frankly, a bit childish.
Right. We need language that conveys the weight and the volume of work or responsibility you are facing. And Daniel, there is one word that sums this feeling up perfectly, and I know you used it earlier when talking about your day.
Which one? Swamped?
Yes, I am completely swamped.
It is such a vivid image, isn't it? Like a swamp, a marshland. You are stuck in thick, heavy mud up to your neck and you can't move.
Exactly. When you say, I'm swamped at work at the moment, everyone understands immediately that you have an enormous amount of work to do and you are struggling to keep up. It implies you have zero free time.
It's very common in professional settings. If someone asks you to take on a new task, you might say, I'd love to help, but honestly, I'm completely swamped with the Q4 reports right now. I don't think I have the bandwidth.
Bandwidth. There's another good corporate buzzword for mental capacity. Now, there's another idiom that I love, which means almost the exact same thing as swamped, but with a colder image.
Ooh, which one?
I am snowed under.
Ah, yes. Snowed under. Snowed, like the weather.
Imagine a massive blizzard has happened overnight. You wake up, look out the window, and your house is completely buried in snow. You cannot open the door, you cannot see the path out.
That is a fantastic metaphor for a desk covered in paperwork. I can't talk right now. I'm absolutely snowed under with these audit files. It gives that sense of being buried alive by your obligations.
It really does. So we have swamped and snowed under for the volume of work. But Sarah, what about the pressure of time itself, when the clock is ticking down?
That is a different kind of stress. The best phrase for that is a bit idiomatic. I'm up against it.
I'm up against it. It sounds almost like a physical fight.
It does. You can say, I'm really up against it today, or we're up against it this week with a project launch. It means you are facing a very tight, difficult deadline or difficult odds, and you are fighting a battle against time to get everything done.
So imagine you are working in a kitchen during the lunch rush. Orders are flying in, the chef is shouting. You would turn to your colleague and say, wow, we are really up against it today. It acknowledges the intense pressure you are all under.
Exactly. It's great for building solidarity in a team when things are tough. Now, Daniel, sometimes the stress doesn't come from too much work or too little time. Sometimes it comes from simply not being able to make progress.
Ah, that feeling of being completely stuck. You're trying, but nothing is moving forward.
Yes, and for that, we use the incredibly visual metaphor, I've hit a brick wall.
Hitting a brick wall. Bam, you are running full speed and then you just stop dead because there is a solid, immovable object in your path.
We use this a lot when trying to solve complex problems. For example, I've been working on this coding bug for 3 days, and I've just hit a brick wall. I cannot figure out what is wrong.
Or in creative work. I'm trying to write the introduction for my thesis, but I've hit a brick wall. I just have writer's block completely. It means you cannot go any further without a breakthrough or some help.
Exactly. So, let's recap those bigger stress phrases. We have swamped and snowed under for too much work, up against it for time pressure, and hitting a brick wall for being completely stuck.
Now, Sarah, one note on context. How do we use these professionally without sounding like we are just complaining?
That's a great point. You wouldn't walk into a meeting with clients and say, Hi everyone, I'm snowed under, this is awful.
Now, that would undermine confidence.
But internally, with your team or manager, these phrases are vital for managing expectations. You use them to explain why something might be late or why you need help.
Right. So instead of just missing a deadline silently, you email your manager and say, Hi, Sarah, just a heads up, I've hit a bit of a brick wall with the data analysis for the report. Because of that, I'm really up against it for the Friday deadline. Could we have a quick chat to prioritize?
That sounds incredibly professional. You are naming the challenge clearly, the brick wall, the time pressure, and you are proactively asking for a solution. That is proactive communication, not just complaining.
Exactly. It shows you're in control, even when things are tough. Okay, so we've covered the little annoyances, we've covered the major stressors. Now, Sarah, I want to get a little bit colorful.
Oh, excellent. It is time for the idiom corner.
Yes, because sometimes standard vocabulary just isn't enough to express the sheer level of frustration we feel. We need those vivid, sometimes dramatic native English idioms.
I couldn't agree more. So welcome to the idiom corner. We have selected 3 of the most common, most expressive idioms for when you are absolutely at your limit.
Okay, Sarah, hit me with the first one. This is one of my personal favorites.
It is a classic. The idiom is, it was the last straw. Or sometimes, the full version, it was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Ah, that is such a powerful image. Imagine a poor camel being loaded up with straw. You put one piece on, then another, then another. The camel is fine. It can handle a lot of weight.
Exactly. But then you put just one tiny, single, final piece of straw on top of the huge pile, and that tiny weight is enough to break the poor camel's back, and it collapses.
We use this idiom to describe a situation where a very small, seemingly insignificant problem is the final trigger after a long series of bad events.
Right. So going back to my terrible Wednesday, the computer update was annoying, the email explosion was stressful, but then when I finally went to make a tea and realized there was no milk left, that was the last straw. I nearly cried over no milk.
I have absolutely been there. It's not about the milk. It's about everything leading up to the milk. It's the moment you snap.
Exactly. Okay, idiom number 2. This is for when the pressure has been building for a long time and you just don't know what to do anymore. You say, I am at my wit's end.
At my wit's end. Your wits are your intelligence, your cleverness, your ability to think clearly.
So being at the end of your wits means you have run out of ideas. You have run out of patience. You have tried everything you can think of to solve a problem, and nothing has worked. You feel completely helpless and desperate.
Like a parent might say, I am at my wit's end with my teenager. I've tried talking to him, I've tried grounding him, I've tried taking his phone away, but nothing works. I just don't know what to do.
Yes, that sense of desperation is key. It's deeper than just being stressed. It's feeling defeated.
Okay, and our third and final idiom. This one is a little bit different because this one is usually self-inflicted. It's a problem you created for yourself.
Oh, I know this one. It is, I've bitten off more than I can chew.
Such a great visual. Imagine shoving a huge piece of steak into your mouth. It's too big, you can't chew it, you can't swallow it, and now you're just stuck sitting there looking ridiculous with chipmunk cheeks.
Exactly. In life, it means you agreed to take on a task or a project that is way too big or difficult for you to handle. You were overly ambitious, and now you are regretting it.
I said yes to organizing the office Christmas party, and honestly, I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. It's way more work than I realized, and I don't have time.
It's an admission of a mistake. I thought I could renovate the kitchen by myself in a weekend, but I've definitely bitten off more than I can chew. I need to call a professional.
It's a very useful phrase for when you need to ask for help because you've overcommitted.
So there you have it. The last straw for the final trigger, at my wit's end for desperation, and biting off more than you can chew for overcommitment.
Those are some fantastic tools for your vocabulary toolkit. Now, let's wrap this all up and get you ready to use these in the real world.
Okay, let's do a super fast recap of the journey we've taken today. We started with those little annoyances, the spilled coffee, the printer that won't work.
And the perfect phrase for that general low-level chaos, it's just one of those days.
Exactly. And the adjectives. Things can be annoying, irritating, or just a big hassle.
Then we moved up to the bigger stressors, especially at work. When the volume of work is drowning you, you are swamped or snowed under.
When the clock is ticking and you are fighting a deadline, you are up against it. And when you're totally stuck and can't make progress, you've hit a brick wall.
And finally, our wonderful idioms. The small thing that makes you snap is the last straw. When you're desperate and out of ideas, you're at your wit's end. And when you realize you agreed to do too much, you've bitten off more than you can chew.
That is a serious vocabulary upgrade in just 25 minutes.
It really is. And Sarah, I want to come back to something we said right at the beginning.
What's that?
The importance of actually using this stuff. Remember, having bad days, facing challenges, feeling overwhelmed, it is all totally universal. It happens to every single person on Earth, native speaker or not.
Absolutely. The goal here isn't to stop having challenges. We can't fix your commute or your grumpy boss.
No, we can't. But the goal is to stop you from suffering in silence because you feel you don't have the right words in English. Being able to say, I'm really snowed under today, instead of just a generic, I'm busy, builds connection. It makes you sound more human, more relatable, and honestly, just more confident.
You are so right. Confidence comes from being able to express your true reality, not just a polished, happy version of it. So please, don't be afraid to use these phrases.
Which brings us to your homework for the week.
Yes, we want to hear from you. What is the biggest challenge, big or small, that you faced today or this week?
Did your internet crash during a Zoom call? Did you bite off more than you could chew with a DIY project?
Use one of the new phrases we taught you today and let us know in the comments section if you are watching on YouTube, or send us a message on our social media. We would love to read your stories of one of those days.
Definitely. It's the best way to practice. Thank you so much for listening today. We really hope this helps you navigate those inevitable tough days with a bit more ease and confidence.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of Real World English.
Go out there and have a great week, challenges and all. See you next time.
Bye-bye.